Okay, truly BSC as we promised. Everyone, let's take a deep breath. Now I'm sure that you have a lot of questions for Mark, so we're going to take a Q&A. Please keep the questions, again, to the progression system. Let's go to Mark.
Okay, so you guys obviously have seen that I shut down the room for comments. I want to talk about why first. I also shut down a thread, frankly, on our forums. I asked you guys not to talk about server shutdowns, and you guys kept talking about server shutdowns. So, three things. First thing, still have a headache. Going to be a little bit shorter than normally I might be. Second, look, as players, we have all said for decades to developers, to publishers, just tell us the truth. Don't lie to us. Don't BS, forget the C part, but don't BS us. So the only reason that I said what I said was simply because that was the worst possible outcome that I could possibly imagine in terms of how we're going to deal with the data. Now, do I think it is likely? Not at all. Do I think it is even remotely possible? Probably not. But is there some incredible series of events, whether, I can't, honestly, I don't even know what they would be, that could result in us shutting down the service for a small amount of time, like maybe minutes to get things done? I thought I should tell you. I thought I should give you the opportunity to hear what the worst possible outcome would be. That way, no matter what happened, whether we didn't have a shutdown or we had to have a tiny shutdown, just so we could process not the data that we've been, storing, obviously that we've been logging and then processing in other boxes, but make any updates we need to make to the world, to even you guys, your characters, maybe even yourself, while the game is shut down. And that's the only thing, we wanted to possibly be able to do without our backers coming back to us and saying, why didn't you tell us this right from the beginning, Mark? Guys can't have it both ways. You want honesty, you want, people to tell you the worst possible outcome, the truth. And I did. And a lot of you reacted in, the chat by focusing only on server shutdown. So that's why I shut that down. Third bit, to our European players, a lot of very good concerns from them, on the thread. Guys, I'm going to say this probably for the next 18 months and beyond. I think I've showed already how much we deeply care about our European backers. I've shown it through making sure that we have European forums as part of our forums, that we're obviously paying people to moderate those forums. I've set up this BSC presentations, keeping the European schedule in mind and not just going, oh, who cares, they're only Europeans. I've done so much and will continue. We talk about having European servers based on what our European players actually say, not what I think necessarily as a developer and essentially a publisher of our own game, but what our European players have thought about this, think about this as well. We have bent over backwards and will continue to do that, for all of our subscribers, for all of our backers and then subscribers, no matter which region. So for the guys who are already, panicking a little bit and saying, oh, then this means, the European players are going to get, screwed. Well, remember what I said for point number one, remember what I said for point number two, and here I say from point number three. Guys, I don't want to do this. I don't want the servers ever to be shut down. Remember Dark Age of Camelot, how the servers almost never went down then for maintenance? Obviously, I want the same. But one of the reasons and one of the things you folks have said to me over the last year has been you've been so proud and so happy to have a developer speak the truth to you. and be very open about things. I'm being open again. And I just wanted you guys to know that there was a tiny, very remote possibility that something should happen. Something like this should happen, might happen. So, that's it. I'm going to have, Genesee reopen comments, and we'll talk about this. The only thing I will not talk about anymore are server shutdowns, because I've said everything I can say. We don't want to have them. If we do have them, they'll be incredibly short. And if we do have to have them and they'll be incredibly short, of course we'll care about the Europeans, whether they have their own European server or we're only playing on North American-based servers. Don't panic. I would never screw you guys over. And finally, the last thing to the European players that I did promise you that we're still keeping to and will keep to, so many of you said to us, please, make sure you publish the game yourself. Don't go, with anyone else. Well, even if we could have made money or could make money by doing that, extra money by doing that, we haven't done it. We're not going to do it. So, guys and gals, please, trust me enough that I'm going to stick to my word about this, just as I've stuck to my word about everything else I've done in the Kickstarter. So please, Genesee, Max, reopen the comments, and time for Q&A, folks. Awesome. So, now that we're, the comments have started, we will start from the beginning, which is the usual. Again, forgetting about any risk of shutdown. What do you guys think about this idea for a progression system? Yay or nay? Tell me to be quiet, and I'm going to wait. So, yay or nay, folks? What do you think? Is this great? Is this interesting? Is this worth looking at? Or nay? Get out the tar and feathers and get MJ now. Awesome, guys. Awesome. So, for some of those comments, like Dreadnought, who just came up with On the Fence, look, I want you to be, all of you, as always, to be honest. Give me the benefit of the doubt, at least when I say things, no, we're not going to screw you over. Remember, again, my money is on the line here too, folks. And Cotino, this is risky. It is very risky. It is different. I warned you guys that, there would be a lot of BSC stuff, and I wanted to end with the most BSC. Over the now decades of making games, and certainly over the last, decade plus of MMOs, one of the things that I, as a player, and I know many of you as players, have felt that the systems can be fun, but in an RVR game like Dark Age of Camelot and Warhammer, that sometimes, whether it's an underpopulated realm, or because you just didn't get in a good group that night, or because you just didn't have much luck, you feel kind of, well, here's a good word, penalized, or you just feel disappointed. And, as many of the ideas that we have here have come from, my trying to figure out what could be different and better. Not different for different sakes, because different for different sake sucks. Okay? These guys know, these guys meaning my studio, our studio here, they know that, I don't like that. They don't like that either. And so this isn't being different for different sake. This is being different in a way that we hope will allow you guys, who have a bad day, who just couldn't get lucky with the group, or couldn't get lucky, in terms of people that you were able to, kill, can still be rewarded without the constant focus of, well, gee, I need to get another ding, or, I need to go Zerg or go home, because the only way I can, I like that, go Zerg or go home. Because that's not necessarily, again, now the best way, to succeed for your realm. That this idea that you can go out and just have fun, okay, without worrying about, well, if we do this keep trading thing, or we do these other few things, this is what we're going to get. Big risk, absolutely. Lots of thought has to continue to go into this. But you guys were excited by the concept of realm pride. This is something that we talked about, now for way more than a year. Same with server pride. This is one of the ways to make it happen. I've always said that I want to create worlds, right? This goes back to my muds. This idea, if we can pull it off the way we hope, can make you feel like you are part of a world and part of a server and part of a realm, like few other games, MMOs can make you feel that way. So, that's some of the thought process that went into this and why we're continuing to think about it. So it's harder than anything, that has been tried before, that's for sure, in the progression realm. It, whether it throws out or ignores decades of how games have done it in the past, sometimes you got to do it. Sometimes, I don't want to say disruptive, because that's, you start getting on the hype train when you say that, and that also gets people thinking disruptive. Hey, he's looking for money, and I'm not. We're not trying to be disruptive in that sense. We're just trying to create something great. So, thanks for the feedback on it. And like I said, now I will get to real questions. What is the biggest challenge with this progression system? I think that the biggest challenge is going to be, of course, balancing it out. Making sure that, people who've really done an awful lot that night to help the realm feel like they have been rewarded enough for that. It's kind of easy to make people who haven't done quite as much feel rewarded, but we have to make sure that the folks who really have done a lot feel like, hey, this is even a better system than the one you could have, used, or one you've used in the past, or one other games have used. So that's a really big challenge to us. The processing of the data, for example, that isn't a big challenge, which is why I'm not worried about it, at all. But I just wanted to be honest with you guys and give you the worst possible scenario. Chris, have you considered a hybrid system with some rewards are given immediately? Absolutely. Like everything else in this, the BSC days, it's about balance. And if it turns out that a hybrid system works better, fantastic. All we want to do here is make a great system, is come up with something that works for everybody, or almost everybody, because, I don't think there's anyone out in the audience today who will say that is a good idea to try to make a game for everybody, because everybody won't like anything. It just doesn't happen. Thingy, what about the impression of doing nothing? Yeah, I mean, that's definitely one of our concerns, is that if you're playing the game for 5 and 6 hours, we've been so conditioned by decades of games of, the Skinner box and pressing, the little hamster pressing and getting some food, or the carrots that developers and designers, hold out in front of you, that people will get, upset. And that's part of what we're going to have to balance. That comes, that relates to the question that was asked earlier about the hybrid. But, there are ways that we can show you, whether through a Tome of Knowledge sort of thing like we did in Warhammer, or that